Welcome to the Church Security Answer Man video blog, where it's all about ministry safety, security, and making a difference for people. And now, your host, a former law enforcement officer, criminal justice trainer, and security expert, Captain Joe Puckett.
Well, hello everyone. I want to welcome you to this edition of the Church Security Answer Man. I'm so happy you're joining me. This is Season 5, Episode 8. And we've got some very important stuff to talk about today. And I'm certainly going to give you my opinions and my thoughts on it, and I'll share with you some other stuff later on, some other places and resources for this very important topic that you can go to just a little bit later on. So we're talking about our ministries, our properties, our people. That's what it's all about, protecting our ministries and our people. And, so it's not about your denomination here today. We're not talking about the size of your church. That kind of stuff doesn't matter. All that matters is these basic principles that apply to any denomination, any size church, most any location kind of thing. So Season 5, Episode 8, we're talking about preserving evidence at criminal incidents. So if you have an incident at your church, a criminal type matter, we want to talk about preserving anything that could be helpful to that situation. So thanks for joining me. I'm Joe Puckett. I'm so glad that you're here with me. And again, all these other things about denomination, size of ministry, those do not matter as far as I'm concerned in this show, in this discussion, because this is all about you, helping limit your liabilities as a church security member, and also about protecting your people and your ministries, those kind of things. So let's talk about, as church security members, why do we want to talk about preserving evidence at criminal incidents or that are involving criminal incidents? And, we're not cops, and we talk about that all the time, but we are protecting our people and our ministries, as we continue to say. And, I think it is a function of church security. What are our main functions? Our main functions are to take care of our people, protect our property and our ministries, those kind of things. And don't forget, another part of that is to minimize the liabilities to the church. So sometimes that means we're making sure that we're acting conservatively in our duties and the things we're doing as security. And sometimes it's this kind of stuff that we're talking about, how to preserve evidence when a criminal incident occurs at your church, how to document it, how to report it, how to hold the evidence until law enforcement arrives. And so this is a great way for you to help limit the liability of the church, much less to try to help your people. If something does happen, if a crime occurs, then you could be helping some of your people find the subject and hold somebody accountable, those kind of things. So it is kind of an important job. Now, if something does occur, we want to try to preserve that evidence. Am I obligated to do that? And it's really about supporting the story, supporting the incident, supporting your observations. You're not obligated to do it. We're not law enforcement. We're not even a government agency. Those folks tend to be more obligated to gather information or gather evidence. So let's take it for instance, as we get started, in case any of you are kind of scratching your head like, what? This seems like it's turning me into a cop. And that's not what we're talking about, because I'm not into that. I'm into us operating within our capacity as church security members, private citizens, basically is what we're doing in most states. That's what we're considered. So, for instance, if somebody tries to take a child without permission, I'm not even talking about a parent. It could be a parent. A parent that doesn't have legal custody tries to come in and take their child from Sunday school. Or more what I'm focused on is a stranger comes in and tries to abduct a child. So to help catch that person who may not be known to us and may not even be known to the parents or anybody else, what are we going to do? And this is a big example, and it's not likely to happen to many of our ministries. But what are we going to do? And I think to try to identify the person is a big deal. So if you have video cameras, great. We want to preserve that information on those video cameras. and you want to know how to operate those and get into those and be able to save that information and share that information soon. Sooner the better in this kind of a child abduction type case. If we can get photos, if we can run out the building and get photos in our cell phones of a license plate on a vehicle or a vehicle as it drives away, those kind of things are great. But the other thing is what if the subject touched the counter in the children's area? They put their hands on the counter. We want to preserve that area. We don't want other people touching that area now. So how are we going to do that? We're going to put somebody there to say, don't touch it. Don't anybody touch this counter. Stay away from the counter. Those kind of things. How about, besides protecting the counter and telling people not to touch it, what if they went out the front doors and pushed on the front doors as they went out? So now we're talking about the possibility of fingerprints being on the counter in the children's ministry area, and now fingerprints possibly on the front door of our church, or a back door or side door, wherever that person left from. So, in law enforcement, if we preserve that, so we have somebody stand there, if we're not standing there, somebody else stands there and says, nobody touch it, nobody goes out this door, go out a different exit, stay away from this, we're trying to preserve this. And then law enforcement, if they see a benefit, then they might be able to dust for fingerprints, be able to lift some prints, whether it's crime scene investigator, law enforcement, a police officer, whoever that might be. So, so we want to try to preserve any of that kind of stuff. And so we look at different incidents that might occur. We'd look at, maybe somebody stealing a purse. And that happens quite often if you look at the internet and research what kind of incidents are going on. People stealing purses, the same kind of thing. They might have touched something. They might have touched the back of a pew. They might have touched the door on the way out. Anything that you can observe. Hopefully you have video, again, in that situation. So they fight with somebody. They damage some kind of property. How does that look for us if we're not able to do anything or help those people that we might call victims, or members of our church, or visitors to the church, all of that kind of stuff? I think it's good for us to be in practice of being able to do these kind of things. I think it makes us look good. And it helps us take care of those people, again, our members, try to recover something that they've lost, if they've had a purse stolen, those kind of things, or recovery for damages that occur, all of that kind of stuff. So, and I think it's good for us because, again, this helps minimize the liabilities for our church. One, we're trying to help find or locate somebody with this various evidence. But also, we're doing stuff proactively here if we're doing these kind of things. And if somebody was to ever sue us because these kind of things, let's take, for instance, a child abduction, and not likely to happen to your church, but it does happen. And so, what if you were to be sued then by the parents of the child because the child was abducted from your church? And so we need to, I think, and it's my opinion, it's not legal advice, but I think we need to be able to show, hey, we did this, and this. We were prepared in case this happened. We tried our best, but somebody was able to take the child, but we preserved evidence. We had pictures, we had video, we preserved all that and provided that to help law enforcement right away to go after this person and try to find this child. And the same with stolen purses or other types of things that might cause injury. If we've got video, if we've got pictures, any of those kind of things, we might even look at, if somebody's fled out of the building, we might even look at, is it snowing outside? Do we see some footprints where they ran? Can we take pictures of those footprints before the snow melts? Can we keep people away from it so we can preserve it until the police get there? Or if they ran through mud or sand, or I don't know what it might be. and then maybe even they went through mud and then they went on back onto the sidewalk or the pavement, and we see footprints there that we could help take care of and make sure nobody walks through them. Again, we're not evidence techs, we're not police officers, but we can certainly help preserve those things until those appropriate folks get here. Where did they touch? Where did they walk? Those kind of things. Is there anything we should preserve in those areas? And then the next thing is that I think is very important, and we talk about this all the time, and that's reporting and documenting these types of incidents. So having an incident report form where you document things. And while some people might not call it evidence directly, I think documenting it is evidence, putting all the information down. A date and time of incidents that occurred, who witnessed the incident, who was working church security at the time, and who else might have been involved or seen something or witnessed something. All of those kind of things can go in a report that goes in a file at the church, and now that is information and what I would look at as evidence as well, at least witnesses and documentation in a report that can help law enforcement find something or help your insurance company down the road with recovering information or recovering expenses or recovering some kind of property or something. If the police don't follow through with it, then your insurance company might want information. And again, I think it helps us limit liability, and people might not just be focused on us and upset with us as the deep pockets or something. If we start providing information of who else witnessed it, who else was involved, here's evidence of who the suspect was, then it begins to put a little energy on somebody else. And so that in a way helps us limit our liabilities. And I'm not being callous on this stuff. I just really want to focus on the facts. I'm not callous towards victims or the people involved. That's not it. But I do want to talk frankly about how we can limit our liabilities and really help people by documenting these kind of things, So reporting this information, and by the way, if you don't have incident reports yet, you don't have some sort of incident report form, go to churchsecurityanswerman.com, and on that front page, we have free reports that you can download and save. It'll get sent to you, and photocopy that thing and put it in your files up front in your security closet so that you can start documenting. Those forms that we have are just general. They're not legal advice. They're not meant to be advice on exactly what you need to document, but they're there to help you from a law enforcement and an insurance perspective. That's how we designed those things. So there's a 2-page form there. You can photocopy a bunch of them front to back or however you want to do it and put it in your file. So, thinking about what types of incidents should we be preserving evidence from, and we just talk about the title of the show, Preserving Evidence at Criminal Incidents. So anything that's criminal, I would look at trying to document whatever you have. If you don't know who the person was, then what information do you have to connect to them? We talked about those footprints, possible fingerprints, where they touched a counter or door or something, pictures, video, all of that kind of stuff is what's going to help. And if it's a criminal incident, then I think that we should be documenting that stuff. And that can include disorderly people, thefts, issues with our children, whether it's a stranger tries to abduct someone, or it's custodial issues between parents. The father shows up and tries to take the child when he's not supposed to, or the mother, vice versa. Is there anything we can do to hold and document that they were actually there and actually tried to do that? Whether that's video, pictures, whatever you see as possible evidence. People that attempt abductions, people that damage property or threaten our people, all of those kind of things would be incidents that I would look at trying to document in a report, as well as pull some of this other evidence that you might have, videos, photos, whatever that looks like. So it can be quite a list of issues, realistically, and really what I'm saying is that we should document incidents, reports, preserve evidence, even when little things happen, is what I'm saying, with the little stuff. And you may kind of snicker at some of these things, but it gets us in the habit. Then we think when something happens, ooh, I better document this. That's what I'm after. If we practice with the little stuff, then we get in the habit for if something bigger happens, and somebody might laugh at you. You take a picture of somebody that's a little bit disorderly that you ask to leave. Take a picture and write up a little report. I've done that before, and I feel like sometimes people are like, "Ugh, do we really need to do that?" But it does help limit our liability should that person say something or sue us. Unlikely, but if something does happen, it's documented. But it also gets us as a team in the habit of documenting these things and preserving stuff and putting together a little package that helps find a suspect, helps our victims or attendees to our church maybe recover stuff, or helps limit the liability. So practice in the little stuff, and then you're more prepared for the big stuff. So, now I do want to say that if you want more information on crime scenes, preserving evidence, there's a lot of stuff on the internet for being able to do that with other materials, other guidelines. Much of it's directed to law enforcement. But you can certainly gather information and kind of get some idea of other ideas of preserving evidence and information, until law enforcement arrives. And that's an important thing. So just giving us more and more ideas for your team, something else for you to talk about in a little team briefing or a little team training. So you can go to the National Forensic Science Technology Center online, and they have a crime scene investigation guide. It's free. It's a PDF to download. Keep in mind, it's a little more geared towards law enforcement, police officers, but it can be beneficial to you. The National Institute of Justice online has evidence preservation information and documentation. You could also search for crime scene investigations. And don't forget these things like, if you have video cameras, learn the system. I've been to many churches where they have a system, somebody helped them put it in, but they really don't know how to use it. They don't know how to download information. They don't know how to save video files and clips and send them. So I would strongly recommend that if you have a system or you're getting a system installed, learn those things. Learn how to preserve a file and a video, learn how to search for it, learn how to save it, preserve it, send it, or put it on a disk or whatever the system allows you to do so that you're ready to go when it's under pressure. If something happened that the police need information right now in a hurry so that they can go look for this person, the suspect, you want to have somebody in your security ministry or leadership team that can go to that camera system and download it right away and be able to get that or send that to the police as soon as possible. Very, very important, because many of us do have camera systems, but we don't know how to operate those. So that's it for this edition of the Church Security Answer Man. Don't forget, we have information all day, every day at churchsecurityanswerman.com. That's also where you'll find that report form. And also, I would ask you to subscribe to our YouTube channel here. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to us wherever you can, and so that you can get notified. That helps us begin communication, and I want to have great communication with you and let you know as soon as we're posting things so that you can look it up, especially if it's something timely, because if we have incidents, we're going to try to post something as soon as possible that helps you should an incident, somebody copycat something and come to your church right away. And so I really want to open those lines of communication, and you subscribe and hit that subscribe button. Hit a link wherever if you're listening to a podcast on one of the audio networks, any way that you can subscribe to us, but especially on YouTube, if you can subscribe to us, hit that subscribe button, and so that we can communicate with you. And leave us comments. Leave some comments down below wherever you can. Send us notes. You can send a note to me, CaptainJoePuckett@gmail.com. But really, Share your information. Make comments on the sites where you listen so that other people can see your information. And I try to answer all of those things. So subscribe, leave us a note. And I really appreciate you being here. I really appreciate what you're trying to do to protect yourself at church and also protect your people and your ministries as well at church. That is a great thing, an honorable thing that you're working on doing, putting yourself on that front line, and I appreciate that. And I hope you have a safe and secure week.
Thanks for watching the Church Security Answer Man video blog. Get more by joining us anytime at churchsecurityanswerman.com.